Hey everyone, welcome to another video. In this video I'm gonna be ranking my recent makeup purchases. This is some makeup that I bought in the month of June, but also some makeup that I tried in the month of May. It's just a mix of a lot of things, and I have a lot of makeup here in front of me. This was a lot to all try out and review, and I'm a bit unsure about this ranking. I'm looking at it and I'm like, this could be different. Like, depending on the day, on my mood, on the season, this could be different. And I think the main reason that is the case is I think all of these products are really good quality. I like them all. They are amazing. I was so lucky that I got to try so many great makeup products, and that makes it so hard to rank. So just know when I'm gonna tell you about all these products and where I rank them, I think these are all great, and this could have easily been different, but I do want to rank them. I do want to give you some sense of what I'm most excited about, but keep in mind that this is mainly about my taste and just the things that I like at this moment and the things that I'm most excited to use again. So it's not all quality, and you could easily like something that's in the middle here more than something that I put in the top. Maybe it's some colors that you like more than I like them. It could be anything. So I am gonna rank these, but please take this with a grain of salt. They are all very good products. So let's start with the thing that I ranked last, and that is actually this baked highlighter by Juvia's Place. This is the Herione Glow number 1, and I actually got this for free with my order. I didn't even really buy this, but this is just kind of like a rose gold, goldeny, pinky baked highlighter, and it's a beautiful formula. It's so nice. It's gorgeous. I really think they have a beautiful, smooth, like not glittery at all formula here. It looks really great on the skin, but this is just a color that isn't gonna work for me. It's just a bit too like a yellow gold. It's just a bit hard to wear for me. I did wear it. I did kind of like mix it in with some other like blush and kind of made it work by having it be more of a blush topper. And I would definitely recommend this if you have a deeper complexion than I do, but this isn't a color for me. But I can't complain. I got it for free. I'm probably gonna wear it once in a while, but it's just not that easy to wear for me. I'm still happy that they gave me this. So the next thing for this ranking is gonna be this Juvia's Place, the Nubian Royal palette. I added this to my order because I really just wanted to try it, and I mainly wanted to try this kind of duochrome gray to purple shade. And I think it's really nice quality. I think the mattes work very well. I think the shimmers are very nice. I really liked working with this one, but it's just not what I'm excited about right now. These are not really the purples that I reach for in this time of year. I know that you don't have to like adapt your makeup to the time of year, but I just like doing that. I think that's fun. I like wearing pastels in the spring. I like wearing more bright colors in the summer, and more like purple, subdued, grungy colors in like fall and winter. So I do like the quality in this one, would definitely recommend, but it's not something I'm gonna be reaching for right now. And I also didn't really feel like reaching for it, but I bought it more with like other times of the year in mind. So that's why this is a bit lower. If this were like fall or winter, this could have been higher. That's just what it is. Next up, I actually put this Bambi palette by Colourpop. I got this because my sister got this and she swatched that middle shade and was like, that's so pretty. This is a purple to gold duochrome. Then we have some purple mattes, a black with some shimmer, and then this kind of iridescent shade that you can use in the inner corner. Really like the looks that I did with it. I think it's really pretty. I put this a bit higher than the Juvia's Place one because these purples are a little bit more warm, and that's what I reach for more in the summer. I think these are more like summer appropriate. I also think a gold sheen is a little bit more like summery than like a gray to purple sheen. So I did also like this quality. I think it's really cute packaging, and it's just a really nice small palette. I just really like this, but it's like limited. You can do basically one look with this. maybe 2. You can switch it up a little bit, but it's a small kind of monochromatic palette, so there aren't a lot of options, and that's why I don't think I'm gonna be reaching for this one a lot. I'm gonna be reaching for this one if I wanna do that one particular look, and that's what you get. And I knew that going in, but it's just why it's a bit lower. Then next up, a palette that I also ranked in my palette ranking of all the palettes that I tried in the year so far, and I actually decided that I like it less than I thought I did when I ranked those palettes. If I would do that video now, I would put this a little bit lower. I just have to be honest with you, I was a bit too soon with ranking this palette. I was just really excited to rank these new palettes, but I was a bit hasty, and I should have tried this one at least one more time to really be sure, and I've just changed my mind. It's not that it's that much lower, but it is a bit lower, and I've kind of switched the ranking with this one in this video. So I just have to be honest with you, I just think this Nabla Cutie palette in Midnight isn't their best one. I really like the majority of the shades in here. I really like the shimmer. It's beautiful, it's textured, it's like purple to green blue, gorgeous. This is like an iridescent shade. It's like white in the pan, but then a beautiful like kind of periwinkle blue shift when you put it on your eye. Then we have this beautiful like royal blue shimmer. It's gorgeous, and I also think the shimmer is beautiful, but it's kind of like, it's a bit generic. It didn't need to be in this. I don't know why they put a bronze in here, but it's nice. I tried it. It's a nice shimmer. But the mattes, I think that is where this palette is kind of lacking. And when I did the first look, when I did the first impression, I was kind of like, I don't mind it that much. I could make it work, and the look still looked very good. I still really liked that look. So I was like, okay, I had to work with it a little bit, but I still like the look, so I don't mind. And I still think it's a pretty good palette, and I still like it. I still am not disappointed that I bought it, but I just have to be honest and tell you, these two mattes aren't great. Especially the dark blue is quite patchy, and you really have to be careful, really have to work with it. I did another look with that dark blue, and I put it down first to see if it would blend well on its own, because in that video I put down the light blue first, and I thought maybe that would have impacted like the performance of that shade, and I just had to admit to myself, it is patchy. It's not a very good blue. It's like workable. You can work with it, you can make it work, but there are definitely other blues in my collection that are much better, and I just think that this light blue is a bit of a tough shade to work with as well. I maybe would have liked it if it were a little bit darker maybe. I don't love the mattes in here. So the majority of the palette I like the color story, I like the end result of the looks, but I just have to work for it. And that just made me feel like I can't put this higher. There are just so many things that I've tried that have better quality. I'm just a bit disappointed in this one, even though I really like it. I like it, I like the looks, but I just have to be honest with you, and I have to be honest with myself and put this a bit lower. If you are like, I'm fine with it, I just really want those special shimmers, I can understand. That's totally possible. I can totally understand that, but be aware that there are better blue mattes out there. I'm still excited about that palette. I'm still excited that I got it and that it's like the new Nabla release, but I just expected a little bit better from Nabla. I expected them to have a bit better quality. So the next thing for my ranking is this Juvia's Place, the Nude Chocolate, a velvety matte lipstick in the shade Muted. When I made my Juvia's Place order, I was like, let's finally try this lipstick formula that everybody has been raving about. And I got this kind of like neutrally brown milk chocolate shade. So this is what it looks like. It pulls quite deep on me. I thought this was gonna be more like a cool tone nude, but it's definitely pretty brown. But I do still really like the shade, although it's a little bit different than I expected. Also really like this formula. It feels very nice and hydrating on the lips. It's matte without being drying. It has a nice amount of pigmentation. It stayed on very well. I liked it. It's nice. but it's not a shade that I'm really into like this time of year. I do like wearing a cool toned brownie shade like this, but more in like fall and winter. So this is a product where I'm like, it's good, I really like it, but it's just not the time for it. I'm not in the mood for this shade. I did wear it a couple of times to really see what the formula is like, but I'm probably not gonna be reaching for it till it's gonna be like not as sunny and warm anymore. It's just not something I'm into right now. But I would recommend this formula. It is really nice. Then next up, I finally tried a Milani baked blush for the first time. This is the blush in Sunset Passione. And this is kind of like a terracotta shade, but it has a lot of rosiness in it as well. It's a glowy blush that has quite a bit of pigmentation. It has a little bit of visible shimmer. You can see that on the cheeks. And that's why it's a little bit lower. It's not perfect. If this would be the perfect blush, then there wouldn't be any visible shimmer at all. It would be just a beautiful glow. So I do really like it, but I think I had a little bit like higher hopes. I thought it was gonna be just a little bit better, just a little bit different. I'd heard so many good things about it. And it's just nice. I like it. It's a good blush. Next up, we have this Catrice Cosmetics Bronze Away to Costa Rica face palette. And I think this is just a really nice product. I really like it. It's a beautiful packaging. I really like how this looks. I really like the shades that they have in here. So I have a little bit of a golden warm highlighter, a cool toned highlighter, a more satin kind of bronzer, and a more shimmery darker bronzer. So I really think they nailed it with this formula. It's a beautiful formula, especially the highlighters are so blinding and beautiful and smooth. I really like them. I also really like this bronzer. It's really easy to use, not pigmented. You can build it up. It's nice. It has quite a natural sheen. This bronzer is a little bit hard for me to wear. I tried wearing it several times, but it is very pigmented and very golden, and it's just a lot. I think I'm a little bit too light for this, but if you have a little bit more of a deep skin tone, then that's a very nice bronzer. I think I'm just gonna mainly stick to these three shades that are just really beautiful, and then just not go into that really warm goldeny bronzer too much. It's just a bit too much. I just have to admit to myself, it looks a bit muddy. I really tried to make it work. So I think this is a great product. I would definitely recommend it. Just think to yourself which ones of these you would actually use before you buy it. I'm happy to be able to use 3 of the 4 shades. They are really nice quality. I think Catrice does cheek products just very well, and it's also very affordable. It's only like 10 euros or something like that. It's really cheap. It has beautiful packaging. Really was impressed by this. Really liked it. I think the best thing from this palette is definitely those highlighters. Those baked highlighters are like top notch. They are amazing. They are really, really good. So the next place for this ranking is going to the Juvia's Place Blushed Rouge Volume 2 Cheek Duo. So these are 2 blushes. We have an orangey coral one and a more cool tone pink one. These are both matte blushes. I really like this formula, but it is a bit on the pigmented side. They're also quite interesting colors. They are not colors that I already had in my collection, so I do think that they made an interesting choice when it comes to that. It isn't like I've seen a blush duos like this like all the time, but I'm just not that excited to reach for this one a lot. I think it is because I'm more into glowy blushes right now. I'm not that into matte blushes, and also this blush is a little bit too much for me. It's a little bit too bright and pigmented. I do like mixing them, but it's not the perfect duo for me, but I do really like it. I do think it's a really good formula. I think if you have a deeper skin than me, then you can definitely get away with this as well, because it has quite a good pigmentation. It's just not perfect for me. It's not like exactly my blush preferences, but I did really like trying this one. I do think it's a good formula, but it's not exactly how I would do it. Then next up we have the Juvia's Place, the Bronzed Rustic eyeshadow palette. So this eyeshadow palette came out with their duo bronzers, and this has some beautiful bronzy eyeshadows. I thought it was gonna be a little bit more neutral, but in the end it is quite warm. It does pull quite warm on the eyes. This looks like quite a neutral brown, but it is pretty warm. So be warned, if you were thinking to get quite a neutral eyeshadow palette, you can get a pretty orange leaning look with this. And that's why it's a bit lower. I was expecting it to be a little bit more bronze, a little bit less orange. But I do really like the formula and the looks that I did with this. I did really like. It was just a little bit different than what I expected. I do really like the mattes in here. I think they blend well. They have nice pigmentation. I do like the shimmers. This one is a little bit more neutral. This one pulls pretty orange on the eye. In general, I really like it, but it's just not my absolute favorite because of how these colors pull, because I'm just more into neutrals and cool tones. I sometimes like delve into warm tones a bit. I do wear warm tones from time to time, but I think I would use it more if it was a little bit more neutral. A little bit more how it looks in the pan and a little bit less orangey on the eye. But I do recommend this palette, especially if you're into warm tones. Next up, I put the Juvia's Place Bronze Duo in the shade Light. I believe this is the lightest one. So we have two matte bronzers here. This one is a little bit more cool toned, this one is a little bit more warm, and this one is a little bit less pigmented. This definitely has more of an impact on the skin. I do really like this bronzer duo. At this moment, with how my skin is looking right now, how like tan I am right now, I feel like this works the best. I feel like this is a little bit too light, a little bit on the light side. I do have to build it up a lot and put some effort into like getting this on my skin, getting this to be visible. But I think that in winter and for people who are generally fairer than I am, then this palette would work because we have that light shade. You can go more into this one and maybe add a little bit of the darker one on top. I feel like they chose their colors very well because this is gonna work for quite a lot of light and fair people, and I'm happy that you can kind of like mix and match and you have this lighter cool toned one and the darker warm toned one. I feel like I can kind of customize a shade and make it work for me. And right now I'm just more into this one. I don't feel like it's my most perfect bronzer ever because it is a little bit less impactful. Like the cooler toned shade is a little bit less impactful than I would want. I would want it to be a little bit deeper, but that's just like my skin tone. I think maybe I would have to go one shade up if I would want that, but I don't know if it would be too deep then or too warm. I just feel like if that lighter shade was just a pinch darker, then I would really love this palette, and maybe in winter I will love it more. Now it's not like my ultimate perfect everyday bronzer. It's not what I would go into all the time. Often I just do like quite an impactful bronze. I do like that. So the next thing is the Verdandi mini eyeshadow palette from Oden's Eye. I got this when I bought the Saga of Freja eyeshadow palette, and I've been interested in this for quite a bit, but with my last order I was like, I'm not gonna buy everything at once. I'm just gonna try some things and see how I like it. And this is a nice summery kind of warm toned eyeshadow palette that could also go a little bit more to the cool tone side. You can make it a little bit more cool toned, that's why I like it. And I just thought that this would be a really nice palette for like summer, so that's why I got this one. And I really like the shades in here. I felt like this shade, this lighter shade, was not the most pigmented ever, but generally I think that the Oden's Eye mattes are just nice. They're fine. I like working with them, but they're not the most impressive ever. I think they do their shimmers the best. They are definitely the best thing. And I really love the shimmers, especially this middle two. I really love those. I think this kind of light blue silvery one is gorgeous, but then we have this kind of golden peach. These are kind of like that really thick textured creamy formula that they sometimes have, but not always. And I just really loved wearing this one, and it's just one that I'm more excited about in this time of year. So that's why this is a bit higher. I just really liked the quality in this one. Next up, I got the NARS Cream Bronzer in the shade Laguna. This is from their Summer Solstice collection. I got this because I'm really into that Soul Body Bronzing Balm, and I thought maybe it would be nice to have a little bit more of a cool toned bronze. It looks a bit more like how I would naturally look after being in the sun. This is not my new favorite. I like the Soul Body Bronze more. You know that if you saw my like favorite makeup of 2021 so far, I did put the Soul Body one in there and not this one. I do like this color. I think it's nice. It's a nice kind of neutrally bronze, but it's a bit more pigmented and a bit less easy to blend out than the Soul Body one. With this one, you get a lot of pigment on your face right away, and then you kind of have to blend it out and just hope for the best. And it works. It does blend out in the end, but it is a little bit scary at first. Everything is okay in the end. Everything works out in the end, but I just feel like the whole application process of the Soul Body one is a little bit easier. So that's why I still like that one a little bit better. I do think this is a good product. I do think this is a good bronzer. I like that I have it. It's just quite pigmented. It's one you can blend out, but you have to pay a little bit more attention to it than some other cream products that I've tried. And I do think that the finish of the other cream bronzer of the Soul Body one is a little bit more creamy. This one is a little bit more matte, and I think I'd rather have something a little bit more creamy. So generally, I think this is a really great product, but compared to what I already had and liked, it's not the best. That sounds really negative, but I don't mean it that way. It's nice. I like it. It's good. So now we're actually heading into the top 5. And at number 5, I actually put this Nabla Cutie palette Analogue. So this is the other Cutie palette from their new Cutie collection. And this one is more of a nude color story. It has some cool tones. It has some warm tones. It has a duochrome shimmer. I really like this in my first impression video, and I did a few extra looks with it. I did like 2 more looks with it, and I just really like it. I think the quality in here is gorgeous. I really like all the shades. I like the options. You can go more like smoky and cool tone, but you can also keep it quite light and warm. I think this duochrome, this peach to gold, is really nice. It's really shiny. It really adds something to the look, really elevates the look. I think you can do some really beautiful eyeshadow looks with this one. It's not the most interesting palette ever, I admit, but the quality is really good. You do have some options. It's not too expensive. You have some really nice shimmers, some really nice mattes. I just think that if you go for a boring palette, then go for something like this. You still have some options, you have some interesting shimmers. I just think generally this is a really nice palette, and I really like it, and I've been grabbing for it. It's just really good. And I feel like this one is a lot more consistent than that Midnight one. It's just all the shades in here work, and you have some options, and I feel like this palette just makes sense. You have everything that you need in here. Next up in this ranking, I put the Alpha blushers that I got in my Oden's Eye order. First up, I got this Sweet Tulip one. This is one of the flower blushers, so this is a shiny one. I do think that this is the one that's the least easy to work with from the blushes from Oden's Eye. This one you have to be a bit careful with. You have to pay attention when you apply it. Don't put too much. Don't take too much on your brush right away. Just take your time, put a little bit on your brush, blend it out, just to be safe. I do really like the effect on the skin. I think these blushes are just great. They have a beautiful pigmentation and finish, and it just really works, and I really love this formula. It's just great. And I think my favorite of the 2 that I got is this one in the shade Ripe Papaya. This is the fruit blusher, so this is a matte one. This is so bright without being too overpowering when you are fair. This is a bright orange blush for someone who has more like fair skin and more like light-ish hair. If you want your blush to pop, but if you put something orange on your cheeks, it just looks like an orange stripe, then I would go for something like this. I think this looks amazing on the skin. There's something about this formula that makes your skin look so good, and it has this pigment where you can build it up without looking crazy, like too crazy. I just feel really great when I wear these blushes. There's something about them that kind of looks diffused and kind of makes your skin look better than it already does. These just work very well. So in third place, I actually put the Oden's Eye Saga of Freja eyeshadow palette. This is the big eyeshadow palette from their new collection. And from their new collection, I actually only got this one and I made a video about it. We have two sides. One side is more of a warm tone nude. We have some plummy shades as well. And one side has more cool tone nudes and a pop of green and orange. I think this palette has a beautiful formula. I really liked all the shades in here. I really liked the looks that I did with this. I just felt so pretty. I feel like this is a little bit more sophisticated when it comes to the shimmers. You can do a little bit more like subdued, neutral, beautiful looks that just make you feel pretty. And that's why I really like this one. I did a bit of a cool toned look where I put this shimmer called Spark on the lid. And this is a bit of a bronzy shade. But because it has kind of like that green mixed in there, it kind of has this greenish hue to it without it looking extremely green. So you can add kind of like a pop of color to a neutral look without it looking too crazy. I just think this quality is really nice, and this is a really good palette if you want your eyeshadow to be like a little bit special, a little bit different, but you don't want it to be like crazy colorful. I think that this is the one you should go for if you're not that into color, if you're not that into super crazy multichrome, super textured eyeshadows, although they have textures in here. But if you do want something more colorful, more special, just something that you haven't seen before, then I would go with the Norns eyeshadow palette. So this is kind of like the more subdued, more neutral sister that does have some nice textures, some nice colors, but it's just a little bit more subdued. I think I'm gonna be reaching for this one more than the Norns eyeshadow palette in the end because it just has those everyday colors for me. But I do think that the Norns is gonna stay my favorite because it's so special. On number 2, I put the Juvia's Place, the Blushed Rose eyeshadow palette. This I already talked about in some videos because I already used this a lot and I already tried this a lot and did different looks, and I just think this color story is perfect. I think these shades fit so well together. You have a lot of options. You have those rosy shades. You can go a little bit more bright pink if you want. You can add a pop of color with that orange. I think orange and pink is just such a nice color combination, and you also have this really beautiful wet looking textured light pink, which is such a gorgeous shade and kind of unexpected. I didn't expect to find such a beautiful textured eyeshadow in this palette, so that was like a nice surprise. This is a palette that I would use a lot when it's like nice weather because I love rosy tones, I love warm pinks, and I also love pairing those with orange. This is my summer eyeshadow taste in a palette, and that's why I love it so much. Also because it has a great quality. I think Juvia's Place does eyeshadows so well. I used to not be into their eyeshadows that much because I didn't get their color stories. I didn't understand how to do looks with their color stories. I didn't get it, but now that they're doing some different types of eyeshadow palettes where they have more cohesive color stories, I like them a lot more and I'm more interested in them. And yeah, this is just really a favorite of mine and I'm really impressed with this one. I really love this palette. And I also really love that we can go quite deep. We have some options to make a look quite dimensional. I think this is a really beautiful kind of warm wine red that you can use to kind of add some darkness to the look if you want. So I think this would also be really nice still in like fall and winter as well. But when I look at it like this, I just feel really inspired to do summery looks. So on number 1, if you've seen any of my favorites videos, if you've kind of paid attention to my description boxes, then maybe you know what this is. I always like to have you guess for a second, what do you think this is gonna be? I already talked about how much I'm using this and nothing has changed. So in first place, I actually put the Nabla Cupid's arrows in 6 and 7. I got these with the Cutie palettes. I got them in my Cutie palette order. This was new from that collection, but they've had this particular product. They've had it for a little bit. I just never tried it. They're a little bit on the expensive side. I didn't know if I really needed it, but they have some other shades as well. But I was like, I'm trying these new palettes. Let's just throw in these eyeliners as well and see how I feel about them. I had heard some good things. And especially this one in number 7, I've used basically every time I did my eyeshadow for the past 2 weeks. 3 weeks, something like that. I've been grabbing for this one the whole time. Even today, I was like, will this be the day that I don't use it? And then I was almost done with my eyeshadow and was like, no, I'm gonna use it. I need this. I just want that extra bit of dimension, that smoky liner that this can give me. So these Nabla Cupid's arrows are kind of like a chunky, really pigmented, really like smudgy pencil that you can just apply, and it has a lot of pigment and it has a lot of like movement to it. If you want to, you can just manipulate it with a brush and really like smoke it out and really get a liner. You can also kind of like flick it out if you want. That's not something that I really do, but you could do it. And what I just basically do with every look is when I'm almost done and I feel like I need a little bit more of dimension, I will just go on my top lash line. I will just add a little bit of this pigment and just smudge it out with a brush, and it just adds such a beautiful type of dimension. It's not too dark, it's not too harsh. It gives you the effect that a liner gives you without it being like black and really harsh and unblended. I always used to do these shadow liner looks where I just did my eyeshadow and then I basically took the darkest eyeshadow in the palette and took a small flat brush and used that to put it on my lash line. But this is just a little bit more pigmented, a little bit more easy to use, and the palette doesn't have to have a shade like this. I grab for this every time. Now I just have this particular product to do that type of liner with, and because I was already really into that type of liner, I keep grabbing for this one and grabbing for this one and using this all the time. It's such a great product that does exactly what I needed to do. And it gives me a look that I already wanted. I just add a little bit to every look, smudge it out. It gives me that little bit extra definition. Also really love the shade of this one. It's a little bit of a maroon shade. It has a little bit of a purple hint to it, which I feel looks very good with my green eyes. And it works with a lot of neutral looks, but also more purpley leaning looks and also warm toned looks. I feel like I can use this every day, and it doesn't happen often that I find a makeup product that I can use every day. And this actually surprised me in such a nice, pleasant way. I didn't know. I just got these to try them, to see if it would be something for me, and they ended up being my faves. I haven't used the blue one as much because I have been doing more neutral looks and I don't always add like navy to it, but I think in fall and winter I will probably use this one more. This one is just as pigmented, just as creamy. It's just that I'm more into this shade right now. So yeah, this is a great find, a new favorite. I've been using this so much and I didn't expect to put this first, but it definitely deserves to be here. So that was everything for today's video. That was everything for my new makeup rankings. Let me know in the comments if you've tried any of these products. Do you agree with my rankings or not? I always love to hear from you. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like this video if you liked it, and don't forget to subscribe, and then I will see you in my next one. Bye bye.